Hai guys, ketemu lagi dengan Kenji Mozaro. Kali ini gue mau ngajak kalian ke Historical Museum yang ada di St. Paul. Kita lihat di Minneapolis ada apa. Historical Museum in Minneapolis. Okay, so check them out. So this is the front side. What? And then this is the surrounding. You guys, that's the church that I vlogged before. And that's this So guys, I'm already in a historical museum Minneapolis. So already inside, so I'm gonna show you the first thing from the entrance door. What we see here is the big airplane as the entrance door. We're still waiting for that's the Jenny's airplane. You guys, for more information, will be right there. So this is the replica Cheney airplane.
Things you can put on. It could not interfere with the domes of the Capitol or the cathedral. So this building sits low within the Capitol complex.
Yeah.
So this is all part of the Capitol complex.
So it has to be lower.
It has to be lower, so it didn't infringe on the architectural beauty of these two.
Yes. Yeah.
So
That's very smart. Arrangement.
Yeah, some smart planning.
Yeah.
And the architects of this building were local, so there was a national competition.
Oh, I see.
A national competition was held for the design of the new historical society.
Okay.
Even though we've been around 170 years,
okay,
we have other buildings.
Yeah.
This was built, and the team that chose the design didn't know what firm designed it because they didn't want to show that we were playing favorites with the Minnesota firm.
Okay.
And so it was down to three: a Minneapolis firm, a firm in I think Los Angeles, a firm in Connecticut, but Minneapolis firm got it.
Got it.
And part of how they designed it is they used building materials native to Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
So this granite here.
Yeah.
This granite comes from the area of Cold Spring, Minnesota.
Okay.
The limestone here, northern, is travertine limestone from the mountains.
Wow.
What is not from Minnesota is this white marble. This white marble comes from the same quarry, Georgia, that the marble.
So there was a connection. The architect.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you look down, you'll see in the granite a pointed star. You see the 8 points of the star?
Yeah.
Well, for that, Minnesota is called the North Stars. And our motto is French.
Yeah.
Star. So the star pad, this is right here. You could go up and look at the ceiling. You see the 8-pointed star.
Oh, yeah, right.
So that is all part of it.
Yeah. It's like the connection between, because Minnesota is the start.
Right. So all of these different themes are used.
Yeah.
So what's also interesting about this building was the largest public building project since the construction of the state capitol.
Okay.
Which meant that taxpayer money, the state money was used.
Yeah. Part of it.
And this building came in on time, within budget, and without litigation, which is virtually unheard of for a project this year.
That's like,
Now that might not happen today, but
right.
it did when this was finished in the
Just like really perfect on the budget and just like
everything.
Right.
So we can just walk around. I'll tell you a little bit about the Historical Society first of all, because I work for the society.
Yeah.
40 years.
Okay.
So we are the second oldest institution in the state.
Yeah.
Society was founded or incorporated in 1849.
Wow.
Is the second act of the territorial legislature.
Okay.
So already they knew, before we were even a state,
Yeah.
9 years before Minnesota was a state, we were already collecting.
Okay.
Because the mandate was to collect every major newspaper published in the territory. And Minnesota territory was vast. It stretched out to what is today North and South Dakota to the Missouri River.
I see.
Many different immigrant groups in the territory, different parts of Northern Europe. They were all publishing papers in their own language.
Okay.
We were mandated to collect those papers and put them in our archives. We still are mandated today to collect all the major papers.
Wow.
And now they're digitized. We don't keep the actual papers.
Right.
We film them.
Yeah.
And they're digitized. So we have, what the early founders said is that newspapers are the day books of history. They record what's happening.
What's happening? That's like it's to flashback all the what's happening back then.
Right. So when we go to the museum, we have, I don't know in terms of meter, but we have 14,000 square feet of exhibit space.
Okay.
Below ground is 14,000 feet of storage space that the public never sees. And we can't get in there, but I'm going to take you guys down. Sure. Give you a little peek.
All right. Let me get that.
We're located down here.
Okay.
So if we walk down this way, and I can't bring us in because I don't have key access to these spaces. So you can't see in, but I'm friendly.
This is all the.
This is the textile conservation.
Okay.
So Anne Friesena is our textile conservator.
Textile.
So old clothing she conserves.
Right.
This is the archaeology lab. Here.
Right.
It's so dark inside. Usually there's a light on, but people are working remotely now.
Right. Right.
This is the again textile conservation. This is the three-dimensional object conservation. So when you go up to the museum, anytime we take something out of storage, our conservators conserve it and make sure it's stable before we put it on
back.
Display.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's again the public doesn't come up here. Offices back here. Offices there.
No one's working right now, right, Bill?
Right. And then you can get a clear view down.
Oh. Okay. So we got the tower. Wow.
Open at the same time. So right now we have 6 exhibits open on this floor. The one we're going to go into first is Minnesota's Greatest Generation.
Okay.
So this exhibit looks at that generation born about...
Great Generation Minnesota.
So we kind of start in a chronological, kind of looking at the birth of this generation here.
Yeah.
And then the Great Depression hit. And if you were a kid during the Great Depression, often you didn't know that it was as bad as it was. One of the pastimes for people during the Depression was to go to a movie. Movies were inexpensive.
Right.
If it was hot, they were often air conditioned.
So during what time? Which
during
time?
The Depression.
The
Depression hit the stock market crash in 1929.
1929.
And then through the 30s, we've kind of recreated what was a real movie theater in Minneapolis called the Minnesota. It was one of the largest movie theaters in the country. Could see, I believe it was 4,000 people. Oh. So it's gone now.
Okay.
It doesn't exist anymore. But
all right.
Kind of to show how important movies were at this
right.
time to this generation. So we kind of created this idea. You can walk in here.
Permisi Pak, Assalamualaikum. Oh, this is... Oh my goodness, this is...
So we just watch a little of this, but
Good
it's...
morning. I'm Betsy Booth. Won't you come in?
My mother just sent these over to your grandmother.
You're Andy Hardy, aren't you?
I live right next door.
Movies were our culture to a degree that they are not anymore.
Did you keep seeing your teacher yet? No, I don't want her. Me neither. Me neither too.
Ambil ini dulu.
Pretty much at the drugstore. It was right in the very heart of everything. He had several booths in there. He had, of course, the soda fountain.
Oh, the jukeboxes, of course. It was pretty big, fancy. And I think it was 10 cents.
One of the cars in the back. A big sign.
Sean, is there any more to see for yourself? Okay. So then
Am I
this
on
kind-
YouTube?
Yeah.
Am I on YouTube right now?
Yes, you'll be.
This is Sean, one of our interpreters.
Right.
This is Kanji.
Kenji.
Kenji.
Yeah, my YouTube is Kenji Mozaro.
Okay.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Are you gonna take a flight in the C-47 then?
Yes, when this show is done, we'll go in and watch it.
Okay.
So this kind of is a transition from finding out that Pearl Harbor had been bombed
Right.
into the war. I mean, into the second.
Oh, so this is like a time
Right. So it's like the 20s depression,
10
then the
and
war
30s,
comes,
and
right.
then
So this is a real armored vehicle that was manufactured at the Ford plant in St. Paul. Hi, how are you? You guys having a good time? Excellent. So then, Kanji, after this section kind of transitions us from the war into
Yeah, I see
food
that.
years, so there's a lot more color.
Right.
used in the exhibit here.
ah. Are we on 19?
This would be probably the late 40s, early 1950s. So
Oh, 1950s.
GIs come back from the war. Household materials become more available.
So this is, guys, it's 1950s now. Got the baby boom.
You know,
Jim,
it's really also looking at
Bill,
consumer goods.
what they call baby boom?
Baby boom was a period from about 1946 until 1963 or 64, when there was a boom of births
But
of children.
the population is growing.
Population. So after the war, really, there was this kind of exponential increase in childbirth.
Right.
So we call it the baby boom.
Baby boom.
I'm a baby boomer because I was
Right.
born in
It's like
1958.
1958 to 1946.
Started in 46 to 64. I believe
19
is the end
okay.
of the baby boom years.
All right.
So if you were born within that time,
You are the baby
you're
boom.
part of the baby boom.
Then this is one of them, guys.
Yes,
What the
right
baby boom.
Jumpmaster stood by the door when all at once the red light came on. Stand up and look up.
Get ready! Stand up! Hold up! Equipment check! Stand up for equipment check! Be okay!
One boiler was on fire, and the guys that were playing were praying and dropping over dead. Our plane was going down, and there were bodies all over the floor. The three of us were closest to the door, got out, nobody else.
Another telegram that said he had been killed, that he had died. I cried and I cried. Years later, I would dream about him coming home, and he was an old man, but he didn't remember me. He just couldn't place who I was. But I could see him, I could hear him talk. I told my mother, this can't be the good earth that I've always known. This must be hell.
Jadi tuh guys, kayak feel like we're in the flight, we're in the war. So that's how. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. So we just went to the plane is like 1945, it's like in the war. So you know, we remember the fight of the soldier who protect the country.
A dress flag for the USS Minneapolis, which was a cruiser, not in Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, so it was not subject to the Japanese attack at that time. If it was in port, or if it was in a flotilla of some type of like a parade. So when it was out, economic practice was like if you talk a little bit about what happened in Minneapolis and Pearl Harbor, it was engaged in lots of naval battles, severely damaged.
Yeah, that's like before the Alaska and Hawaii, right? Right. Yes. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So guys, this actual flag is actually before Hawaii and Alaska joined the country. So this is still like 48 star, not 50 yet. So that's the flag.
A small exhibit called Weather Permitting. Obviously, weather is something Minnesotans talk about a lot.
Yes.
So most of the records that we give in here have changed. This is a very old exhibit. It's one of the older exhibits.
Of course, yeah. Of course, Minnesota snow.
Right, and then we have the car show us old film footage there.
Oh. Yeah, so
we're following you, Sean.
Yeah, 6 minutes.
All right, we'll watch this next. We're gonna see this next. This is another little show like the C-47. It's about the 38 tornado of 1960. Oh yeah, big bad one. So we'll see. This is all about the ice castles that are built here that happen to
we're gonna go inside there.
Was a hailstone, and it's not larger than the largest hailstone we've ever experienced. So in 1911, after this hailstorm, he would have gone into a store with ice and bought a big chunk of ice, just like. And then he said, well, or someone might have figured it out. About 40 years after this picture was taken,
Sensi banget ya, Pak.
we were 10 years old. We didn't like that guy. not a big chunk of ice within the yard. Everything else cool. And then, of course, the dam down.
This is how low this is the Fall Flyer boat.
Yeah. That's our idea.
It was made at Little Falls, Minnesota. It was a 1956 model, and it sold for $625.
Wow.
Now they're
Right. For 965, guys.
1956 model.
But much cheaper than the iPhone now.
Yeah. Exactly.
There were 8 tornadoes that night.
We're having lunch.
Now, if you look at that, especially look at this picture.
Yeah.
Right.
So in 1964, they do have a tornado, guys. So we're gonna see how
doesn't look like
is
a
the
hailstorm.
actual tornado happening. So
That was that visible. That was that visible. We came up with the damage. And then, just a short time later,
this
in
is
May of that
a
year,
tornado.
these terrible tornadoes. So 65 was not a good weather.
It's the most powerful on Earth.
So what we're going to see is what we're going to see is this, Kenji. We're going to go in and see this.
Yeah. So we're gonna go the basement for 6 minutes to the tornado hit in Fridley, Minnesota, 1965. Be right there, guys.
I would sit right here so you can look out the window.
Okay.
Okay, any introductions, or are we good?
You can introduce Sean.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit. Sean
All right.
is one of our stellar interpreters. He knows everything.
All right.
So we're going to go back to the year 1965, May 6th to be specific.
Yeah.
And that was a really bad weather day for Minnesota. The day before in Iowa, there were 12 tornadoes that touched down in Iowa.
All right.
That system moved up into Minnesota, and there were 8 tornadoes that touched down west of the Twin Cities on May 6th. You're going to hear about 2 of those that their paths crisscrossed, and right where those 2 paths come together was Fridley, Minnesota, which is not far away from here, about 10 miles away from here.
Right.
So that's what you're going to hear about, and you're going to get a little sense of what it's like to be in your basement when a tornado goes over your house. So here we go.
All right.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Come. But we're going to hear people who remember what that day was like. Telling us about it.
I don't think we're ever over it once you've been through it.
The whole area smelled like a battlefield. It just reeked.
There were houses in the middle of the street. There was nothing intact.
And all we saw was rubble and where houses had been. It was just the most grim thing I've ever seen.
We interrupt this program with a weather advisory. The U.S. Weather Bureau has issued a tornado forecast for a portion of extreme north-central Iowa.
I heard the news that there was tornado warnings. I told the boys, I says, we've got to get home.
Scattered severe thunderstorms with large hail, locally damaging winds, and the possibility of an isolated tornado.
The sky got very dark and green, very green.
It was green, but just before it came, the sky turned orange, and that's when the hail came.
This is a dangerous storm with large hail. Stay indoors, away from windows.
My mother had just gotten done washing the windows. The excitement in my husband's voice as he says, "Get to the basement." He said, "No, I'm going to watch out the front window."
Should a tornado be sighted, the Weather Bureau advises that you go to the southwest corner of your basement or a small interior room in the area.
Before I even saw it, I smelled it. There was this sulfuric odor. It
was just deafening. And then all of a sudden I could feel the suction of this thing. I could feel us being picked up, actually coming off the basement floor.
And when I looked up, it was a perfect funnel. It was just beautiful in the sky.
My husband came running down just before that hit, and he said, I think our car is in the front room. And then a great big plank came in our basement window.
The wind left us. I looked up and there was no floor above us. It was gone.
I remember not coming up from the basement until we heard voices calling outside.
The stairway was just pulled right out of the house. There was no way to get up, and so we had to wait for neighbors to come over and pull us out of the house.
When I ended up doing traffic control at that intersection, these people started coming down the street, and I saw the devastation on their faces. And one father was carrying his son, and the son's arm was almost severed at the shoulder, and he was trying to keep it from bleeding and find help.
290 people went to the hospital that night.
I was in a trailer in Fridley Terrace, and I grabbed my two little girls and tried to stay on the floor, and then the refrigerator came over on top of us. They said another one was touching down. Somebody took my other little girl, and then my baby and I ran to a house, and we were there until we came here.
I didn't think it was near as bad as what it was until it was over, and I looked outside and saw trailers next to me, over on top of the trailers next to them.
I'm from the West, you see, and I don't know much about these things, and so then I put the car in. I don't know why, because the garage fell in on it, but then I went down the basement. I don't know how to describe it. I guess you could say confusion.
I don't think anyone knew the extent of it until it was until afterwards. But it's such a tremendous sight to see our people with the courage they have.
The help that we as a family received from my fellow workers.